Hey everybody, welcome back to the vlog. Thank you so much for joining me once again for tea time. Today we have a little bit of focus. Really good stuff. I did combine it with Misty Morning, but I like a little bit of that bergamot morning also, so this is good stuff. If you haven't picked up any of my teas, you guys asked me for them, and they're here. Go over to darkmoonteas.com, or you can go to my website, jchristina.com. Either which way. Anyways, today is a big day. Today is a massively big day. We've been waiting for this for a long time. Everyone has. All photographers. It doesn't matter if you're a Canon fanboy or if you like Canon or you don't like Canon. If you're a Sony shooter, you're still looking at Canon to see what they're going to do with their EOS R5 and R6. Well, the cat's out of the bag, guys. We now know that about 96% of everything that I reported was correct. So that's good, right? A lot of the rumors, a lot of these rumor mills had it right this time. So that is really exciting. I'm going to get into price, and I'm going to get into the positives and maybe one negative that I've seen, or maybe two. But I'm going to get into that before the end of this video. Before we get into it, please, if you haven't picked up my ebook, go check it out. You can go over to jchristina.com/ebook. Once again, jchristina.com/ebook. 10 tips to making sharper images. Something there for amateurs as well as professionals. Go check it out. It's free. Once again, jchristina.com/ebook. Anyways, getting right into it. I want to tell you what has changed, what has remained the same, but instead of just going at line item by line item, which that just gets to be boring, I know you guys don't like to see it, I'm just going to brush over it and tell you what I think about it, and then we'll get into pricing and where it sits, and then I want to show you one of the negative things that I saw that I really didn't like. Anyways, let's get right into it. So we start out with the EOS R5, and it does have 45 megapixels as we predicted. The ISO is going to be anywhere from 100 all the way up to 51,200, expandable up to 102,400, which hopefully no one is doing. But if you do it, whatever. Yes, if you do it, bless you. I don't know, you're probably gonna be taking out a lot of noise. But anyways, one of the major features is it's shooting 8K, as we did call out. So it's 8K, 29 point whatever, let's call it 30 frames per second. Raw guys, 8K raw, which is amazing. Also 4K at 120 frames per second. That is nasty. That a lot of people were looking for that because they like the slow-mo, and to be able to do slow motion in 4K, it's sweet. Very sweet. It's going to be shooting C-Log as well as HLG and PQ HDR. So you're going to have all these log as well as HDR modes, let's call it. Now, the electronic viewfinder is going to be this really amazing, as we predicted, half-inch 5.76 million dot OLED. Now, we knew it was going to be good. We didn't know how good. This is really good. Now, another great thing is that back panel. We didn't know if it was going to be 3 inches, 3.1 inches, 3.2. It ends up being a 3.2 inch, 2.1 million pixel variable angle. Their usual fully articulating back panel. So that is absolutely fantastic. We predicted that, and that is what it's going to be. We just didn't know what exactly the size was going to be, 3 to 3.25, and it is 3.2 inches. Also, it does have that top status LCD, which is really cool. I personally like that with all of my 5Ds and 1Ds. It's nice to have that at the top of the camera. Also, it will do 2.4 as well as 5.0 gigahertz Wi-Fi and Bluetooth, and it does have the 2 card slots. What would you do as a professional or even a pro-am without 2 card slots? And what we're seeing here is it does have 2 card slots. One will be a CF Express card slot, and the other will be a standard SD UHS-2 card slot. And finally, it does make available WFT R10A wireless support, which is really great. Now, let me get into the R6 and I'll tell you where they change compared to the R5. Now, instead of the 45 megapixel that you'll see in the R5, in the R6 you're going to see 20 megapixels, and that's exactly what we said it was going to be. It's actually 20.1, I think, but let's call it 20 megapixels, and it will shoot from 100 all the way up to 102,400, expandable to like, I don't know, $250,000. No, 204,800. So you're talking about an amazing amount of light that this thing is going to be able to handle. And if it's expandable up to 204,000 ISO, you know this thing is going to be able to shoot 56 up to probably close to 100,000 and not really get just a ton of noise. It'll probably be acceptable at that range. Me thinking about that, I'm like, can you imagine video when you can shoot that high and not worry about anything when it comes to lighting? I mean, this thing is going to be really beastly, I think. Anyways, as far as 4K, in comparison to 8K and 4K with the R5, the R6 will only shoot 4K, which is what we expected. Now, it will not do 4K at 120 frames per second. It'll do 4K at 60 frames per second, and that is all that we need, especially as content creators. We want 60 frames per second and be able to shoot 4K at that. That's awesome. Also, it's going to have the exact same log. So you're going to have C-Log, your HLG, and finally your PQ HDR. So the same when it comes to the R5 we're seeing here in the R6. Now, as far as the viewfinder goes, the OLED that is in the R5, like I said, was 5.76 million dots, whereas in this camera, in the R6, we're seeing 3.69 million dots. So it's a little bit less, and that is also to be expected because they have to take something out of the R6 so that it doesn't tread on the heels of the R5, right? So that makes sense. Also, that back screen, instead of 3.2 inch on the back screen, which is 2.1 million dots, that's on the R5. On the R6, we're seeing 3.0. So you're losing a little bit of size, and it's at 1.6 million dots of resolution. So let's call it 250,000 dots less for the R6 in comparison to the R5. Once again, that simply makes sense. Also, you do lose that top status LCD at the top of the camera. With the R5, you do have it, whereas the R6, you don't. That is kind of, it's hard for me to move to a camera without that top screen because I use it so much. As far as wireless connectivity, they dumbed it down just slightly. So the R5, like I said, you had 2.4 and 5.0 gigahertz as well as Bluetooth. With the R6, you lose 5.0 gigahertz. You're stuck with 2.4 gigahertz and Bluetooth. Is that a big deal? Not really. I don't think so. Anyways, card slots. Does it have one card slot or does it have two? The answer is, even though it is the cheaper model, the R6, it does have two, guys. Two card slots. Thank God. Thank God. But instead of one CF Express card slot and one UHS-2, it has two UHS-2 SD card slots in it, which is okay. For me, I like the CF Express, but two SD UHS-2s is good enough, especially for the price difference. And you'll see what that is in just a moment. And finally, the WFT R10A support is not in the R6, whereas, like I said, it is in the R5. Now, when I was watching the announcement just a few minutes ago, what jumped out to me is that Dual Pixel AF is now a new Dual Pixel AF, like call it Mark II, all right? Dual Pixel AF2, what I've seen is unbelievably amazing. Now, if anyone has shot Canon, or even if you haven't shot Canon, you've heard of dual pixel AF being like the thing that everyone wants, all right, when it comes to cameras in the industry for tracking, for autofocus. Because dual pixel AF was just amazing when it first came out, and it is as amazing today, and now it's even better. And what I saw is they bring in those same type of Sony features where you have your face detection, you have your eye detection, and now you also have your animal body and eye detection, all right? For me, I don't really care about the animal side of things, but I know there's a lot of photographers out there that are birders or that shoot animals, and they're like, this is great. You know, how many times are you just not locking in because they're all over the place? It's like shooting kids, right? Same kind of thing. So that is really cool. I think that is awesome. Also, in both of these cameras, we see 8 stops in body image stabilization. The exact same one. That's awesome, guys. That is awesome. 8 stops of in-body image stabilization in combination with IS, which is your image stabilization in a stabilized lens, gives you a ton of stabilization, probably 10 plus stops, all right? A lot. Just 8 stops just with the in-body image stabilization. So they did a really good job with it, I think. Well, we'll get into that in just a second. Doesn't look good. Doesn't look good, but I'll show you in just a second. Now, before I get into the negative, I want to say that dual pixel AF will be pulling it on 1,053 points of autofocus, but it's not 70% or 60% or 80% of the sensor. It is across the gamut. Both horizontally and vertically, 100% of the sensor is being covered by that dual pixel AF Mark II, which is unbelievably incredible. All right. That's always been an issue, that if you want to track something, you have to keep it closer to the center, within 50%, 70%. If you start going off, it loses track because there's no tracking out there. Now you have tracking across the entire gamut. I think that is absolutely awesome. Absolutely awesome. Also, that EVF refresh rate is 120 frames per second. That is really, really exceptional. What that means is you're probably not going to get any of that blackout, but then also when you're looking at things moving at 120 frames per second, you're not going to notice any jittering. It's going to be smooth like silk. So it's really exciting, guys. It is really, really exciting. Now, the one, or actually 2 things that were negative, and I think that this is a big thing, because Canon is really pushing the idea of in-body image stabilization, and the combination of in-body image stabilization and IS, which is image stabilization in the lens. Peter McKinnon had a video, and the video looked fantastic. But when he did his commentary, his introduction, let's say, to the announcement, and he said he was recording on that R5. I'm going to play it right now. And as you can see, there is a bit of this jiggling that's happening around him, especially in the corners. What's interesting is one of the points in my top 10 tips for making sharper images that are in that ebook that I was telling you about. One of the things is if you put your camera on something that's stabilized like a tripod, you have to turn IS off and you have to turn in-body image stabilization off. Any type of stabilization. Why? Because the camera is already stabilized, and the camera with IS and IBIS on, it will try to stabilize an already stable image and it will do funky stuff. I do understand this is a brand new system, and things like this can be fixed with a firmware update. Remember though, guys, they're doing image stabilization, 8 stops of image stabilization on a massive size. You're talking 45 megapixel, okay, massive sensor that's doing this thing inside the camera, right? So there's a lot of work going on there. There is a lot of work. So all in all, I think that it's fantastic. I want to get into pricing, and this is where it might be an issue for some. Now, we said that the EOS R5 is going to be under $4,000. Some of you said 45, 5 grand or whatever. It ends up coming in at $3,899. I think that is a really exceptional value for what you're getting. Okay, I would like to see it around $3,499, but in a sale, that's probably what it'll be, $3,500, which is nice. Now, the R6 is going to be coming in at $2,499. So let's call it $2,500. So you have $2,500 R6 and you have $3,900 for the R5. So you would have to weight these out and say, well, $1,400 more for the R5 over the R6. Is it worth it to me? And like I've always said, guys, it really depends on what you need this camera to do. All right. For me, I would go with an R5, hands down, all day long, because this thing is just simply badass. Okay, that's it. That's not a fanboy speaking. That's just facts. Now, do we see it in the wild running yet? No, but what we have seen here on the announcement, as well as some of the images that we saw here, they really look fantastic. And I did see an image that was blown up to like life size, and it looked amazing behind the guy that was showing it at 20 megapixels. So 20 megapixels of that R6 is probably enough to be able to do like a big, 40 by 60. Without a problem. So that means to me that these brand new sensors that Canon is using in these cameras, dynamic range, sharpness, everything that's going on in the back end, as well as the brand new Digix processor, I think are really, really amazing. And it goes into the idea of Canon is actually innovating instead of iterating. And I've said this many times in the past that Canon has just fell off the map because they just continue to iterate instead of innovate. And I think finally, by seeing that Canon has not neutered the cameras by taking out dual pixel AF at 4K or 8K, they didn't do anything like that. You have dual pixel AF in every mode. All right. They didn't neuter the cameras, right? They didn't pull out the samurai sword and just hit it with it and just knock it down. They didn't do that. They really just shot for the stars on this thing. I do have to say, with the idea of innovation over iteration, I believe that the R5, and I said this before it came out, the R5 was the equivalent to a 5D Mark IV or 1D. For professionals, whereas the R6 is that, let's call it 6D. And I think I was right here. And the reason I do is because the look and feel of that R5 brings in all of the nuances of a 1D or a 5D owner's requirements. It has the joystick, it has the jog wheel, it has the top LCD. It has the feel of a 5D mirrorless. And I really do think that's what they were going for with the whole mirrorless line. And I kind of feel bad for the people that bought the original series, the R, all right? Because these, I think, are taking it to the next level. All right. And I think this is the level where it's going to be at. We will see in 2-3 years or whenever an EOS R5 Mark II. Absolutely. I think this is where we're going with it. This is going to be the new norm. God, do I hate that. God. Anyways, this is going to be the new norm when it comes to Canon. Will they continue with DSLRs? Yes. But seeing that this R5 is literally in the body of a 5D, let's call it, or sort of, kind of, a lot of professionals are going to feel comfortable using the R5 in comparison to a 1D or a 5D for their professional work. And that is what a lot of people were looking for in comparison to the EOS R. All right. So those are my thoughts. I want to hear from you what you guys think. Are you excited about this? Do you not care one way or another? I think that is not only exciting, but I think that it brings the bar up to this level where Canon is at. And I really do believe that Sony postponed their announcement because they knew that Canon was really going to knock it out of the park, and they really need to be able to do the same when it comes to the Sony A7S3 that is right around the corner that will be announced, or A9S or whatever I called it at the time, because it's going to be a reimagination, right? A reimagining of the A series, that A7S line. So we'll see what ends up happening with that. But I hope they also knock it out of the park, because we'll see these leaps and bounds extensions, and we, the consumer, are going to benefit from all of this innovation and all of this competition. So it's exciting times again. It really is. It's been so slow for Canon for so many years, and I've been shooting Canon for a couple of decades. But you guys know I am not a fanboy. I don't care what I use, and I will call any of the companies out if they put together some crap. All right? Well, this one, I really do think knocked it out of the park. Both of them, the R5 and the R6. We'll soon see. Anyways, guys, that's it for me. I want to hear your thoughts. Let me know what you think. Are you excited about it? Or are you not? Is this something that you're going to buy? Remember, $2,500 for the R6, $3,900 for the R5. Can we afford it today when a lot of people aren't shooting as much? That is going to be an issue, and we'll see how that ends up turning out. Anyways, in the comment area below, let's have this discussion. After that discussion is done here on YouTube, head over to my Discord server that I put together, my creative Discord server for you guys to hang out, for us to chat when we're not here. Go over to community.jchristina.com. Once again, community.jchristina.com. Also, a lot of you guys were asking me about sensor cleaning. Don't forget the Aurora camera sensor cleaning kits that I put together. Full frame, APS-C, as well as Micro Four Thirds. There's something for everyone, for every sensor. They come with little packs that look like this, a wet and a dry. You go over the sensor with the wet, right? And then you pick up the dry and you go over it with the dry, take off any kind of residue, and you have a perfectly spotless sensor. Today, everything is mirrorless, and mirrorless are notorious for getting even dirtier, those sensors, than the DSLR. So pick some of these up. Once again, this is full frame. There is APS-C and Micro Four Thirds. Use promo code YT20 at checkout. Once again, promo code YT20 at checkout, and you will get 20% off anything that's in your shopping cart. You'll also be able to pick up these as well as all the rest of my products like the Focus Pyramid, the PRT, Photo Reference Tool, and on and on and on over at Amazon, or you can go over to B&H Photo and Video. You'll find them there all over the world. So guys, that's it. I'm out of here for yet another vlog. If you have not subscribed to the channel, please do so and click this button over here. If you do, once my videos come out, you'll be notified of it. And finally, head over to my website, jchristina.com, where you can find all the photography tools that I've invented for you and me over the years, and hopefully there's something there that you might like. And if there is, please pick it up and support me. That would be awesome. That's it. I'm out of here for yet another vlog. Many blessings to you and your family.